Shiny hunting in Scarlet and Violet is easy. Too easy. Don't get me wrong, I love that it's more accessible, but after nearly 3 years in Paldea, I don't have many reasons to keep going back. Now, during the latest Pokemon Day celebrations, a new mass outbreak event was announced, featuring 9 different Pokemon across Scarlet, Violet, and their DLCs. This event gave me the perfect idea and motivation I'd been seeking. Could I catch all 26 shiny Pokemon from these events in one day using no boosts, hunting methods, or save points? Well, here's how it went. The Mass Outbreak event had a theme of red, blue, and green Pokemon. In Paldea, you can find Finizen, Smoliv, and Charcadet. I started off this challenge with the Charcadet hunt. For the complete evolution line, I would need 3 shiny Charcadet from these outbreaks. And for context, the base shiny odds in Scarlet and Violet are 1 in 4096. Mass Outbreaks improve these odds to 1 in 2048 after 30 Pokemon are knocked out, and 1 in 1365 after 60 are. With the shiny charm, these odds drop even further to 1 in 1024 and 1 in 819 respectively. I said shiny hunting in Scarlet and Violet was easy, right? Well, outbreaks are a major reason for that. With Charcadet being my first target, I found the first outbreak event on a map and started the hunt. Normally, shiny Pokemon have clear visual differences, but Charcadet, the only change is its eye color, red flames for the regular form and blue flames for the shiny. And because it's so small, that tiny color change makes it super difficult to see. Even with that, to my surprise, the first shiny appeared shockingly fast, in just 37 Charcadet knocked out. There we go, we got our first one. There we go, 37 in, so we have got our very first shiny Charcadet of this little mini challenge. So let's grab it. Oh, looks so good. I love the blue eyes. I really do wish they were better shinies, but this is a great start for us. And there we go. Moonball is the choice for our first one. So 37 into the outbreak, and we managed to get our first shiny Charcadet, which is awesome. We were off to a great start in this challenge. 1 Pokemon down and another 25 to go. Now you might be thinking I got super lucky to start this challenge, and yes, I did, but a lot of this luck comes down to the boosted shiny rates of these mass outbreak events. Despite Scarlet and Violet being nearly 3 years old, we still get occasional updates with new in-game events. These events vary, some feature exclusive Pokemon, others increase the odds of finding rare marks, and some boost the already generous shiny rates. Every mass outbreak featured in this event gives a 0.5% boost to Pokemon shiny odds. That might not sound like much, but when you look at the numbers, knocking out 60 Pokemon in one of these event outbreaks with the shiny charm gives you the odds of 1 in 160 for a shiny to appear. That is actually ridiculous. And even though I could speed things up by reducing the shiny odds even more with the sparkling power sandwiches, I wanted to prove that for events like this, it's just not necessary. Once I hit 60 knockouts, my odds were already insane. Hopeful that I would find the next Charcadet just as quick, I continued to knock out the remaining Pokemon in the outbreak, but unfortunately another shiny didn't appear, so I quickly moved on to the next Charcadet outbreak on our map. By now, I'd knocked out every Charcadet from the next 2 outbreaks and walked away empty-handed. Despite the incredible start we had and amazing shiny odds of these events, my luck had seemed to have disappeared. This is when doubt started to set in. If my luck continued like this, would a day even be enough to complete the challenge with 25 Pokemon still to hunt? When I set out on this challenge, I gave myself 1 day to do this, but I also wanted to restrict some of the common hunting methods commonly used in mass outbreaks to make it a little more challenging. Each outbreak has a set number of Pokemon that will spawn before it ends. To get around this, players generally knock out 60 Pokemon to hit the best shiny odds, then save their game before finishing that outbreak. If no shiny appears in the remaining Pokemon available in the outbreak, they simply reset and try again. Similar strategies are used with sparkling power sandwiches since they only last 30 minutes. By saving before using Herba Mystica, you can reset and reuse your ingredients if no shiny spawns in. Like I outlined for this challenge, I wasn't allowing myself to use any of these methods. No sparkling power sandwiches, no outbreak resets, and no picnic or town methods to refresh the spawns. The only way I could spawn new Pokemon in was by knocking them out. And if the outbreak ended before a shiny appeared, I simply had to move on to the next one on my map. With the last two outbreaks giving no shinies, I thought I'd change things up by moving on to another target and come back to Charcadet later. Finizen was next. Although this hunt was only in areas of water, it was a much easier shiny to spot. Shiny Finizen was a vibrant purple in comparison to its regular blue form. I needed 2 shinies from these outbreaks, and within 15 minutes, I managed to turn our luck around with our next shiny Pokemon. There we go! Only 8 into this outbreak. It is probably one of my favorite Paldea shiny Pokemon. It looks so nice. I love that purple. And shiny Palafin is brilliant as well. So first, we got to get this Finizen. I think it's a perfect low ball Pokemon. So we'll try for that one and hopefully get lucky, which we do. There we go. Finizen caught. No other shiny appeared in the remainder of this outbreak, but I was able to complete the Finizen evolution line in the very next outbreak. Yeah, there's a shiny. There it is there. So let's just drop a save before we get it. And then we've got the set of the Finizen and the Palafin. So there it is, the purple dolphin. That didn't take too long either. Like another 10 minutes probably to get that. We haven't got Gallade. Let's just try and get it in a dive ball. See if we can get it. It's a low level, so we might be able to just snag it. This ball. Easy. Okay. Want it to be in a dive ball. It's not purple. Then is in the purple dolphin. 1 evolution line done with 23 shinies left to get. With this momentum, I decided that I wanted to finish off the 2 remaining Charcadets I needed. But seeing as I had no Charcadet outbreaks left on my map, at this point I had to use the date exploit to respawn new ones. For those of you that don't know, this is a simple method of going into your Switch system's date and time options when the game is still running, and then just toggling through the options without the synchronized clock set to on. By doing this, you kind of trick the game into thinking a new day's begun, and in turn, it spawns brand new raid dens and mass outbreaks onto your map. With a new batch of outbreaks ready to hunt, I went straight into our next Charcadet outbreak, and our luck kept going. A shiny Charcadet number 2 appeared in just 40 checks. There it is, and only 41 checks into this new outbreak. This is a 4th Charcadet outbreak we've actually done, so after the Finizen ones, our luck seems to have turned around. I think this one will be an Armarouge when I evolve it, so a fastball makes sense here. Also, I have never checked if any of our Pokemon so far have got any marks, so I'll check the 2 Charcadet that we've got here, and yeah, neither have any marks, so that's fine though. Unfortunately, that outbreak didn't give any more shinies, but our 3rd and final Charcadet showed up in our very next outbreak on Glacedo Mountain. And there we go, we got our final one. So this is our final Charcadet that we needed. Try it in a lure ball and managed to pick it up just for the blues of its eyes. And it's got the kind of Armarouge reference colors on the top of it as well. So that is Charcadet. Wonder if this one has a mark on it. Have a quick look. Does not. Now with the Charcadet and Finizen lines complete, that only left Smoliv from Paldea to get. I needed 3 of these for the entire evolution line, and while its shiny form is fairly easy to spot with its green body and black olive, it's so tiny and loves to blend into grassy areas, so it's not the easiest to spot. I tried to concentrate mostly on outbreaks that were available in desert areas, but after 2 failed attempts, I was forced to enter areas with taller grass to continue. I could have just used the date exploit to spawn more preferable outbreaks on our map, but I wanted to avoid making things easier where possible to keep this challenge as authentic as possible. And moving into those harder to see grassy areas definitely swung my luck around, and in no time we had our first shiny olive. And there we go, there's our little shiny Smoliv. We finally got it. This is the 3rd outbreak that I've done, so it's taken a little while, but there we go. We finally got our shiny Smoliv from the outbreaks, which is great. So I do love shiny Smoliv. We need to catch it. Don't get away. No, no, no. There we go. And it's tiny as well. So teeny. And I think we got to go for this one. Got to be a friend ball. So we'll try it in a friend ball. Get it. And see if we can get that critical catch, which we can. There we go. I feel like this one's a teensy one. So it may have the teensy mark. It's definitely one worth checking. And the Smoliv line was quickly complete in our very next outbreak, where we got the final ones we needed for the whole evolution line. There we go. There is our first one of this outbreak. drop a save, and that means we're one step closer to getting the set complete, which is awesome. And we'll keep it all the same. We'll go for a friend ball on this one. I wish there was a black Pokeball. I mean, there is the Ultra Ball, but I mean, like all black. Blacked lid, it would look really cool. I think it would match this one perfectly. Okay, so there is Smoliv. We just need one more of these. Does this one have a mark? Does it have a cheeky little mark? It does not. Okay, we still need one more. We're 41 in on this Outbreak. No! Don't let the shiny go away. We've just found a shiny. We just found our shiny Smoliv. Where is it? It's here somewhere. It run off though. Really hope it hasn't despawned. If it has, I'm going to be so mad at that Farigiraf. There it is. There it is. Let's drop a save quickly. We finally got it. Okay, that's the last one we need. Phew. We haven't lost it, which is good. There it is. With all 8 shinies caught from Paldea, that left us with 18 shiny Pokemon to get from the remaining Outbreaks in Kitakami and the Blueberry Academy. The event Outbreaks in Kitakami featured Poliwag, Sewaddle, and Applin. Our first target here was Applin. This was probably the toughest hunt of the challenge, as I needed 5 shinies from these Outbreaks, 1 for Applin and 4 for each of its evolutions. Like Smoliv, Applin is tiny and blends into grassy terrain so easily. So again, I had to be strategic. I focused on Outbreaks in open zones where it stood out a little more than others. And luckily, the first 2 Outbreaks I went to give us our first 2 shiny Applin. We get very lucky very quickly. I think this is about 10 encounters we've had. So there's our first Applin. So far, so good. Our standard ball choice here for this one is going to be a friend ball. We'll get some of the other ones in a variety, I think. But there's Applin number 1 down. So like I say, a really good start. There we go. We've got our next shiny. So we've hit it pretty early on in this one. This is about 5 into this, but this will be our second shiny Applin. And we've got 2 more to go after this. So there we go. And I think we'll go for a sport ball in this one because the majority of them are going to be green, yellow. We'll just mix it up. Sport ball for this one. This can be our Diplin. And the shiny apples didn't stop there, as the next Outbreak did the exact same with another 2 shinies in very short succession. Yay, there's number 3. We finally got our 3rd Applin. But if this one's going to have a mark as well. Definitely think if we think about the evolutions, it's going to be green, or I think for Hydro Apple, a level ball probably feels like it's one of the closest matches. So this can be a Diplin or a Hydro Apple. So there we go. There is number 3. Is that another shiny? It is. There we go. Straight away, double shiny. That is great. Okay, well, that makes it so much easier. This was the lucky mass Outbreak. This is brilliant. So that is our 4th shiny Applin, literally seconds after catching the 3rd one. So this makes it so much easier. This is why these Outbreaks are so good. Although this Applin hunt was the one I thought would be the hardest, in 3 Outbreaks, I ended up finding all 5 shiny apples I needed. There we go. There is our final Applin that we need. We'll just drop a quick save and then we can snag it. That's crazy though. That's like 5 Applin all together to get the complete set from these mass Outbreaks. There's a friend ball. Hopefully first time we get it. There we go. Applin got. Next up was Poliwag, not the one I was looking forward to most. Poliwag shiny is barely different, so I relied on the Let's Go feature to help me out in this hunt. This mechanic lets your Pokemon auto-battle nearby wild Pokemon, but it refuses to attack shinies. By sending out my Pokemon and watching what it ignored, I could easily spot the shiny Poliwag. So in a roundabout way, it was like having a pseudo shiny detector. Honestly, without this function, I don't think I would ever have finished this Poliwag hunt. I needed 4 Poliwag for the entire evolution line, and thankfully the first 2 shinies showed up in Outbreaks 1 and 3. So I think we've got our first shiny. There we go. You can see there are one next to it. They look pretty similar. Are they both shiny? This one is the shiny. as you can see, this one's a shiny and this one's not. It's very, very difficult to tell the difference. One is slightly darker than the other. Can we not go for this one? Yeah, we can. Okay. So there's our first shiny, which is great. This is our first outbreak for the Poliwag as well. So this is what I mean. I think the hardest one to identify for sure out of all of the outbreak events that we've got. But with the cheat code that we kind of are able to use the let's go function with these outbreaks, it does give us a little bit of an advantage where we can just knock everything out and then just allow our Pokemon to kind of tell us where the shiny is. And even when we can see them side by side, it's still super, super difficult to distinguish which one is the shiny and which one is not. So for our Poliwrath, we will go for a Lure Ball. I feel like that's a nice fit. And I don't know for the Politoad. We'll have to make a decision when we get our next Poliwag. But that's at least one Poliwag down. And I think we've got our next shiny and our second ones. But thankfully, no more having to squint at the screen to identify the shiny from the regular form. I think for this one, we'll go Friend Ball for our Politoad. So this will, I guess, slightly match a little bit more. Not perfect, but it will do. With only 2 Poliwags to get, I moved on to our next outbreak when disaster struck. So I think we've got our first shiny Poliwag, like literally 15 into the outbreak. And it is, there we go. Okay, brilliant. That is a great start. So let's get this one caught. What are we gonna go for? Lure Ball for this. No! I didn't save. I didn't know it had double edge. That is so annoying. These are literally the most annoying ones to get because they're impossible to identify without the let's go function. I'd put them on par with Minio hunting. And I mean, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but at the same time, we would have been so close to finishing this off as well. It's going to add easily another 30 minutes onto what we're doing. This was definitely a bit of a setback. Trying not to dwell on it too much, I moved on in frustration to our next outbreak and quickly recovered Poliwag shiny number 3. Okay, we finally got redemption for that failed shiny. We've had to come to a new outbreak because the other one didn't have any more shinies, but let's drop a save this time just to make sure, because that was the problem last time. If we just dropped a save, we would have been fine. But here we go. We've got our next shiny Poliwag. We use a Lure Ball. It's full health, but it's still just a stage 1 and it's sleeping. So yeah, catch rate should be pretty good, which it is. Right, we just need one more Poliwag. This was followed up with the final one I needed, and with that, we only had 9 shinies to go. There it is. Okay, we finally got our last shiny Poliwag that we needed after that disastrous incident earlier. We have dropped a save, so we're all right. Again, just hesitant of the double edge. We will not go for any attacking moves here. I kind of forgot at the time that the Poliwrath goes green, like a dark green, so the Lure Ball feels so out of place on it, but it's done now. There's nothing I can do. I can't go back. I can't de-evolve it. But that is Poliwag. Now let's check to see if either of these we've just added have a mark. Let's see. No mark, no mark. Sewaddle was the next in Kitakami and was, in comparison, a much smoother hunt. Its darker green shiny stood out well, even in the grassy areas. And it only took 3 outbreaks to find all 3 that I needed. So we've just come to this outbreak and we've managed to find shiny Sewaddle without actually doing anything, just beating the Terra Pokemon to clear the path for spawns, and here it is. So we've managed to do it. That was nice and easy. We've finally got a lovely shiny Sewaddle. I love the green of this one. It's actually one of those Pokemon I never think about too much, but I really do love the shiny of this Pokemon. Friend Ball, good job, we got stocked up on these from the item printer. Critical catch. I say critical catch. We're pretty much guaranteed when it's asleep and down to 1 HP. And we've just hit the 60, and there is our first shiny Sewaddle from this outbreak. Since we use friend balls on all of our other grass types so far, we'll continue the trend and use another friend ball on this Sewaddle. There it is, locked up, caught. And there it is. There's a final shiny Sewaddle. And the same outbreak as well. So like literally 10 minutes after we've got that last one, clearing them out, and it's finally popped up our final shiny Sewaddle. So that's awesome. So we'll just need to take it down, friend ball it as per usual, and then we've got the set for the Sewaddle line. Lock it, and there it is. There it is. We got it, which is great. With 20 shinies caught, I only had 6 more to get, which only left Scyther, Lapras, and Porygon in the Blueberry Academy. As Lapras was a single evolution line and one of the easier hunts from this challenge, I naturally went after this shiny first. And there it is. There's a shiny Lapras. There we go. First outbreak and managed to get it. It looks amazing. It still makes me laugh though that we're hunting Lapras on land. It feels so weird, but how good does it look? This is probably my favorite, I think, out of all of the shinies that we've got from these outbreaks. I do love shiny Lapras. It was a really difficult one, I remember, to get originally when we first got the Blueberry Academy, so be able to get it now pretty easily with these outbreaks. This is without a sandwich or anything like that, remember. Just using the outbreaks as a method to shiny hunt, it is a really nice way to do it. And it's perish songed. We don't have long to get it. You know what? I think I've got a bunch of Master Balls from the item printer, and I think out of all the balls that we've got, the Master Ball kind of fits color palette wise the best with Lapras, to be honest. So nothing else has like that purple kind of hue to it. I mean, you could go Dream Ball, Love Ball, kind of match, but nothing quite as well for me as a Master Ball. And I think the Perish coming out seals the deal, so we're just going to grab it and guarantee that catch and get it in a Master Ball. So there is our shiny Lapras. Scyther was next, and probably the trickiest shiny in the Blueberry Academy to find. Its shiny is so subtle, only really identifiable by its different colored legs and chest plate. And I needed 2 of them, one for Scyther and one for Scissor. And yes, you may be saying, what about Kleavor? Well, I figured because I couldn't evolve it in these games and I would need to send it to Legends Arceus to do that, I wouldn't count it in for this challenge, and it's also catchable in the terrarium anyway. So hi, Future Lee here in the edit. Now, just so no one complains about the Kleavor, and for me not to have this kind of incomplete feeling about the challenge, here is one I went and caught just for this video. And there we go. Finally, we get a shiny Kleavor. This is just for you guys. So we've completed the set randomly on the 26th, which would take it to 27 for this raid. Oh my God. The one problem with Kleavor is it runs away and can't despawn itself. But thankfully, we've managed to snag it. Shiny Kleavor. It has taken me a little while to actually grab this one, but all worth it for the video. And then no one can say that the Scyther line isn't complete, although we did it in a kind of roundabout way. This thing is impossible to catch. I've been through about 6 Safari Balls so far. Ah, there we go. Okay, I was just about to say Safari Ball feels like the perfect ball, but it was just not staying in. But thankfully, there we go. We've got shiny Kleavor, and now we can add it to the collection. That's okay. With that done, now back to Scyther. This wasn't at all as hard as I thought. After only 20-ish knockouts in our first outbreak, I got the first shiny I needed. And there we go, there's our first shiny Scyther. So I just want to try and drop a save because these things are erratic. This is it here. First shiny Scyther of our first outbreak for the Scythers. That's one down at least. I think a friend ball's just too obvious. And I do like the Safari Ball a lot, especially for a lot of these kind of Gen 1 Pokemon that we can get in the Indigo Disc Blueberry Academy. There we go. Shiny Scyther, port number 1. The next outbreak wasn't as kind, leaving us empty-handed after knocking out the entire outbreak. But after 50-ish knockouts into the third outbreak for Scyther, we finally scooped our second shiny, completing the set. And there we go, we've got our second shiny Scyther just lurking here, and we're gonna just straight away encounter it. So There it is. That's 2 Scythers, only leaving us with the Porygons we need. And then we are pretty much done, other than needing to evolve everything. For the purposes of this video, matching things up as best we can. We've not been the best along the way, but Sport Ball for our Scissor. And that leaves us with only 1 more Outbreak and 3 shiny Pokemon for our final Outbreak to get. This was not that straightforward though, and despite being near the end of these outbreaks, this proved to be near impossible shiny to find. With the clock ticking, I was starting to think these outbreaks were actually glitched, as we went to 4 and knocked out hundreds of Porygon along the way, with not a single shiny showing up. This is our 4th outbreak and not a single shiny Porygon has appeared. I don't know if these outbreaks are glitched, as technically I should have had at least 1 shiny by now. Let's just move on to the next one, hope we get a little bit luckier with that. Trying not to get wrapped up in our bad luck, I moved on to our next Porygon outbreak in the coastal biome. There we go, there's our first Porygon shiny. It's tiny as well compared to the rest of them, but it is just lurking in the grass there, just hiding out stuff. 1 more after this. Drop a save just to make sure that nothing goes wrong with it. Ah, it's so good. I love shiny Porygon, and shiny Porygon 2 for me is one of my favorite shinies. So I really like that Porygon is an outbreak event. It isn't that hard to get in the Blueberry Academy anyway, but just to be able to kind of hunt it a lot easier with these methods, it is very cool. And like I say, it's one of my all-time favorites. I love blue shiny Pokemon, so use the lure ball for this one. Now with 2 Porygon left, our next shiny followed very quickly. And there it is. There is the shiny Porygon. We finally managed to get it. This is our 6th outbreak for the Porygons. And to get our 2nd one, there we go. Looks so great. Like I've already mentioned, one of my favorite shinies. I think we'll use a Dream Ball. A Dream Ball's always one of those that I do like quite a lot. So can we lock it up in a Dream Ball? We can. That can be a Porygon Z. At this point, we had 1 more shiny to get. I'm not joking, it was a real grind. Taking 3 more outbreaks before we ended up in the Savannah biome, and out of nowhere, after 70 knockouts with the outbreak looking like it could end any minute, this happened. There it is. We've got our final Pokemon. The Porygon has showed up. This is 3 outbreaks later. And finally, we get our last Porygon that we need to complete the entire set, which is pretty awesome. Let's go for a lure ball onto it. Guess it's the closest thing we've got. Doesn't really match up. Kind of resembles like the shiny and the regular form, I guess. Kind of red resembling the pink. I guess it doesn't really. But there is Porygon, our last Pokemon that we needed. Does it have a mark? That's the question. Does not. With all 26 shinies now caught across all 3 areas in the game, all I had left to do was evolve the Pokemon to have a complete evolution line for each one. Thankfully, I had most of the items I needed to evolve Politoed, Poliwrath, Scizor, and the Porygon lines, but Finizen was a pain. Having to set up a Union Circle and level it up to 38 is still one of the most troll-like evolution methods I think I've ever seen in Pokemon. Also, I had to go hunt down Bronzor fragments to trade with the NPC in Zappacore for the auspicious armor, and transfer one of my Charcadets to my copy of Violet to trade Sinistea chips for the malicious armor to get Ceruledge and Armarouge respectively. But everything else other than these Pokemon was pretty straightforward. And with that, I had a full shiny evolution line for every Pokemon featured in these mass outbreak events. Using no sparkling power sandwiches, reset methods, or save points after evolving everything, this event in total took me around 8.5 hours. This event proved that with the boosted odds, you don't need sandwiches or save resets to succeed. The shiny charm definitely helped, so maybe make sure to complete your Pokédex in game to get this, but honestly, this challenge definitely made me realize I can still have a lot of fun in these games.